Namaste, Jai Bharat. Let's look at some nations. To begin with Iran, Egypt, Syria, to a large extent even Qatar, and of course Pakistan. Now, I feel that Pakistan is studying for Iran, Egypt, etc. is studying for. If you look at Iran, Iran becomes an archetype of a nation who is interested in few things, very seriously interested, but they wouldn't come in forefront. They would not send their own people, they wouldn't come in forefront, but they will plan, plot, and sponsor and support such people. They have their proxy armies. It's the first time in the history of military science one can hear the story of proxy armies. They don't belong to any nation. The proxies don't belong to any nation, but they are something very close to a regular army. Of course, no air force, etc. Something very close to a regular army, which is highly trained kinds of terrorists who supported, well paid, well looked after by the proxy owner, the proxy sponsor. In the case of Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, etc., it's fundamentally Iran, not just Iran alone. There are many other nations also, as I mentioned, who would sponsor the proxies. Now, this Iran is oil rich, as you understand, but it's in spite of their long oil rich existence, it is reported by some media that 30% of Iranians live in poverty. Unbelievable. 30% of Iranians live in poverty because instead of spending the revenue on the welfare of the people, they're spending the revenue for the proxy outfits. We know Venezuela also was an oil-rich nation, oil-rich state, but their economic situation is so drastically miserable. Not because of terrorism, but because they have failed to understand what Marx fantasized. I would say that Marx has fantasized only. Marx is a good dreamer and an excellent poet. Only very few people must have read his very rare poetry, but he's an excellent poet. But nonetheless, his writings, if you see Marxian writings, they're very poetic, very romantic kind of. So Marx basically is romantic like Max Muller. Wonderful romantic and very sensitive human being otherwise. These are all his plus points, but none of them fail to understand. The communists have never understood Marx except perhaps to a large extent Antonio Gramsci and Vladimir Lenin. But other so-called communists, they make communism a means for the living, like China does. China takes the name of communism, but then they're never least communist. Anyway, today as on today, they have nothing to do with Marxian theories of economics. Anyway, or philosophy in that matter, of course. So, Pakistan is studying for this. So, these nations are fundamentally rich, but instead of spending their resources for the welfare of the subjects, the people, the citizens of this nation, in fact, those citizens constitute the nation, but then that happens only in democracy. These people are hardly democrat, and they are not democrat. Pakistan is saying, they have also a funny kind of democracy because they conduct elections. And I wonder how the army in Pakistan became so powerful. How can it be? How can it's not intelligible. The army decides things. The army decides things. The army decides who should be the prime minister, who should be what in Pakistan, and they conduct elections. And even if one party wins majority, they conveniently send that person to jail, like what happened to our former cricketer Imran Khan. And they will put a plan, and the army gets the things done without really coming in front. So I don't know, the army, if they take over the nation into a kind of army dictatorship, they might develop internal contradictions from their past experiences. They won't do that possibly. Nonetheless, so Pakistan is studying for this. Pakistan is a hub of terrorism, as it is evidently demonstrated to the world. They produce lots of terrorist outfits with these funny Arabic names, Lashkar-e Tayyiba, Tehrik, this thing, that thing, all kinds of, like the Hamas and Hezbollah, the Houthi, of course, is the tribe's name, and all these things. Now, but Pakistan doesn't have money. Pakistan doesn't have money. They claim that they have got some oil, but no one would go, even if they really have oil. I don't think it's really the case. They say to keep the people in hope. And that's one thing many people live. Those who believe in life after death, they live in hope that after death many things will happen, and nothing is going to happen during this life also. And if at all there is an afterlife, then also nothing is going to happen. So nonetheless, Pakistan is studying for Iran. They don't have funds, they don't have money, they're not a wealthy nation. They don't make anything, they don't produce anything, they don't manage the resources well. They're indisciplined. In fact, basically the problem with Pakistan alone is seriously and highly indisciplined society, with one not existing with other. They have no understanding of coexistence, and that's why they went away from Bharat. Now, Iran is rich, but they would not come in front. They were not. And now things are changed a lot. Same is with all these outfits. Now Pakistan becomes a manpower resource for them. All these people, they would fund Pakistan. And that's how they make many terrorist outfits. There's a kind of semblance, there's a kind of balance among all these people. And now the latest news that comes out is Pakistan is developing long distance intercontinental ballistic missiles, which can reach up to the US. Now this gives headache to the US. Israel, of course, is just hardly 2,000 kilometers away, as Bharat is. This other parts of Bharat is so much far from Pakistan. And they are developing. From where they get the fund? They don't have money to buy atta, they don't have money to buy oil, they don't have money for anything. But then how? They are developing these intercontinental ballistic missiles. In spite of their indiscipline and anarchy, let's not forget one thing, they are basically Indians. Let's not forget the thing that Pakistan is fundamentally Indian. The only difference between Pakistan and India is that, Pakistan and Bharat is that, they have changed their religion, went into Islamic religion, and they start believing that their version of Islam is the best in the whole world. And the another thing is that that's seriously indisciplined, because for a Hindu there is something regulating him within himself, which is called dharma. We have. So by becoming a Hindu, becoming Islam, he swaps it. He comes out of the dharma kinds of bearing, and then he would do anything to earn a living. So that's why they go begging all over the world. That's how they become beggars. So this is the situation in Pakistan, and they can be instruments in the hands of these people who would make them play without involving themselves. And perhaps Pakistan had been an instrument in the hands of these people for a long, long time. All these rich people, the rich Islamic nations who want things to happen in the world, who would provide funds and money to make this. And Pakistan had been playing as an instrument because they have some still basic ability to do things. Studied. Basically they are Bharatiya people, basically they are Hindus, but converted. Now they are developing this missile which is going to give a headache to US, and you think our big brother, your big brother, our big brother, Israel will keep quiet in this matters of fact? I don't think. What they will do, how they will do, God alone knows. Pakistan is in for trouble if they continue doing this. And the people of Pakistan, they have this emotional volcanoes in them. That alone is a. I don't think that can remove the hunger. They can meet the requirement food, but they keep doing it. Let God save Pakistan. There's no other way. They have to change their ways. They have to change their perceptions. They have to change their Islamic, narrowed down Pakistani version of perception of the world. Until they do it, they're doomed, absolutely doomed. And something serious can happen to that nation. So we meet there. Until then, Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Sri Ram.